Good afternoon. This is going to be one of the few times that I've done more than one episode, one segment, one teaching in the same day. I did one this morning called Unravelling Dreams, and I wanted to continue because I've done some unraveling about the particular dream I addressed in this morning's teachings. And first I'll rehash a little bit about the dream, and I want to add a couple of things that when I listened to my listen and watch this morning's effort. I wanted to continue, and I came up with the name Unravelling 2, as in 1, 2, not T-O-O, Unraveling Part 2. I spoke about a dream, and I don't want to rehash the whole dream other than some amazing methods of transportation. The leader of this group that I was involved in, that I was part of, we were seeking fine dining, excellent food, and we had a gourmand who would take us to different avenues to increase our experience, to refine our palates. And I mentioned that he could tune in. Somebody suggested a gourmet hamburger, and he could tune in. Gourmet hamburger, click, took us to a place that he knew made excellent burgers. So this instantaneous travel, this magic travel, transportation, just like Star Wars, beam me up, Scotty. Well, the group of 5 or 6 was beamed to the venue that promised this gastronomical experience. And I want to add here that I don't ever remember tasting the burger, tasting this gourmet burger. The whole purpose of this visit, allegedly, supposedly, was to taste a gourmet burger. And I was very curious what that really meant. What would elevate it to the realm of foodie delight. And I only remember, as I'm reflecting, as I'm unraveling this complex dream, I realized that I have no memory of tasting this hamburger. Instead, it was the entertainment, the talent that performed for us, that was worthy of all the attention and ultimately the purpose of the dream, at least the focus, because like I said, it started out the search for this good burger, this fancy hamburger, and I had no memories as far as I know. I didn't even bite into it. I'm sure we ate a hamburger. Maybe I was just not that impressed. A hamburger is a hamburger. Give me bacon, cheese, avocado, mushrooms. And that's gourmet enough for me. That's a mouth-watering burger, as long as it's presented on homemade, good bun, bread. The bread is just as critical as the meat. And I choose just mayo for my sauce. Anyway, I'm digressing to this burger that I don't remember tasting. But what the dream centered around, what really made this dream memorable, worth spending as much time as I have on unraveling, worth a second video in the same day. So, having said that, apparently we had finished our burgers. Maybe not that impressed, or maybe what was to come was so overwhelming that everything else lost any import. Quintet, 5 people dressed to the nines, dressed elaborately in beautiful suits, which leads me to believe that it was 5 men. But all I remember is, whether they're male or female, that they wore the same suit. And as they walked to the stage for the performance, the performance started the second that they came from behind the curtain. And there was a overpowering sense of showmanship, but not in a flashy style. I mentioned earlier today, they were the epitome of cool cats to the bone, bad to the bone. I mean, non-rhythmic beat, not a regular beat. I certainly couldn't keep time, any sense of keeping time with it. But I understand enough about music to know what I don't know, which is almost everything about music except what I like to listen to, what I enjoy. But I'm sure there was a beat, even though it was not repetitive. Nothing about this presentation, this performance, was repetitive. It felt like it built the elements, built and became sort of, the parts are greater than the whole. But they came out and they had you. And I noticed that they weren't carrying any instruments. They were the instrument, as I came to see. Both their motions, the noises that they were making, no discernible words, sounds, the sounds that they were making, the interplay between the 5 people had everyone mesmerized from the second they walked from behind the curtain. And this captive audience, in the truest sense of the word, was only become more enraptured with their presentation as it proceeded. They came onto the stage. Again, discordant movement, discordant sounds. But there was an overwhelming wholeness to this. It's funny, as I speak about discordant sounds, a Chinese funeral, I don't think you could hear it, I'm not sure if you could hear it, a Chinese funeral, and they're the masters at discordancy. But this is discordant not in the sense that is, at least to my ear. This was discordant in that was not predictable. You didn't know what's coming next, but it fit seamlessly as each performer played off the other, added. And this is where the jazz genre seemed the only category. And there's a kind of jazz there's several kinds of jazzes like everything else. But I like the mellower jazz. And this was mellow doesn't fit, but under the umbrella of discordant, under the umbrella of one riff coming from another riff, the direction that the music, the sound was going reflected each individual's, not only their participation, but their addition, what they brought. And this, coupled with incredible lighting that just enhanced. I mentioned that it led me to a trance-like meditative state. And I say meditative state because it was certainly a spiritual experience for me. But the trance part, where everything in my personal life was if no longer existed. There was nothing but these 5 individuals on the stage sharing their artistry and a trance-like appreciation. And if I thought to look at any of my group sitting at the same table with me, if I recall looking at them, I could understand that this is a unique experience. It was almost like we weren't sharing because our experiences, by design, had to be different. Sometimes you go to a performance and there's a sense of sharing the artistry as they bestow their gifts. This was very, very personal. Personal to the extent of exclusion of anything else. And words fail to convey this sense of being overwhelmed in the moment. I just start to move my body, move my head in remembrance of the trance-like state that enveloped me. It was and what I wanted to add, I mentioned that it seemed to have that part of the performance were these circle of beautiful people that would come table by table and move behind you, and beautiful in every sense of the word. And I mentioned that there seemed to be some eroticism. Some people were in my group were involved with soul kissing, deep kissing with one or more of the people that circle. And this was consensual in the fullest sense. And while I didn't experience this as erotic state, it was 100% sensual on my part. My experience was 100% sensual, tactile. I could taste it, feel it, hear it. I was it, whatever it was. Not just a part of it, I was it. And this was the beauty, for me, of this experience. As it was winding down, as this beautiful people went to yet another table, and quintet, the 5 performers, left the stage much as they had entered it, with this still coolness, epitome of cool. And there's just no other word that I can come up with that really reflects this personal expression. Just to be the coolest people on earth. Just cool cats. And they left as they left the stage. And again, the lighting, the spectacular lighting that enhanced this whole. And everything, by the way, was minimalist. Less is more. No, the lights weren't some big, bright light show, some psychedelic light show. Quite the contrary. The theme was black and white, and that's what I changed my black shirt from my brown shirt that I was wearing this morning. Because the theme was, it was if you were watching a black and white movie. So it wasn't a spectacle. The viewing part was minimized to essential elements. And that's the real beauty, because as I mentioned earlier, I realized that I was experiencing this on a primal level. The most basic of the basics. The lower chakras, which feed the rest of the upper chakras that generate the energy. In my case, I'm not really one to generate a lot of energy. It's just not me. My energy is sourced from outside, and I experience it coming into my body and leaving my body. And again, it's this. It comes in, goes down, comes back up, goes out. Each time taking a moment to sit and work and balance the next chakra. So this primal, basic, somehow going back to the ooze from whence we came, the ocean, the oozing up of life. That's pretty primal. But I have to add, and I want to emphasize by repeating, it was so sensual. So inclusive of every sense that we're gifted with. And this was otherworldly experience, while being based in total expression of where we came from. But it was inclusive of where perhaps we might be going. And as the performance ended, the house lights didn't come up immediately. They left us in the dark, which I thought was another beautiful part. It's as if the performance was now within us. And there was not a word from the table. Total silence, as everyone was enveloped in this all-persuasive, all-inclusive experience. And another part that I forgot or failed. Maybe I knew I was going to do unraveling, I was sitting there and I had a bright red sign in my hands, bright red. And it had 2 white letters, I-F, if. And in the dream, this sign was of equal import. It was just as much a critical part of the dream as any other element. And why I come away with this as I sit after reflecting from this morning to the afternoon on this dream, I came away with 2 whys. First one I shared, why can't I remember tasting the burger? And second one, why did I forget to mention this sign, such an integral part of the dream? And it was as if, it was as if the word on my placard, the word on my sign, that it was a signpost. It pointed a direction. It was a command. It was a question. It was a statement. And one of my thoughts was that if these 5 gifted artists, this quintet, could evoke such remarkable transformation, or is it possible that we might too, in our own way, our own unique way? After all, the beauty to me of the spiritual path is that we each bring our own unique way, our own unique abilities, our own unique talents, utilizing them for the same end game, to remember that which we've always known, to rest again in the state, the natural state of our being, our birthright after all. And immense, overwhelming happiness comes to me when I know that each and every one of us, on our own time, on our own path, will reach home, will wake up and see that there's nothing else but home. To wake up and understand that we've always been home. To see the unity. To experience the wholeness. So that placard, that sign with those bold white letters, I-F, if became the central focal point of this dream. I felt that everything that preceded it, as unfamiliar, I mean, I don't see how I could have made this up, because these experiences are not really in my playbook that I knew. This dream had to come from somewhere else. And today has been a very surreal day when I contemplate the message of this dream. If as a question, how do I return to this state? That is a question. The if as a statement reinforced what I was talking about earlier, the unity. If we wait. And the command part of this if was like, if not now, when? So there's still more work. There's still more unraveling to do. But I think, for my purposes in the video, that after unraveling dreams and unraveling 2, maybe you're beginning to get my intent. My intent through sharing something very personal is to encourage you to pay attention to your dreams. I absolutely couldn't be the man I am as I sit in front of you without learning to listen to my dreams. And to be able to listen, you have to remember. So whatever method that you can use to enhance your memory, when you wake up in the throes of a dream, it seems like you'll never forget it, but try to recall it in the morning. That's why I wake up and use my iPad and write a reminder to myself. I hope you receive it in the spirit that is offered.